BTS Day 2 concert became an unexpectedly emotional night when Jimin appeared to make a heartfelt gesture toward a female ARMY with Down syndrome. Amid the roaring energy of the live performance, Jimin reportedly noticed her in the audience and chose to give her his jacket, instantly turning an already unforgettable concert into a deeply touching moment. As the jacket reached the fan, the atmosphere seemed to change. What had been a stadium filled with music, lights, and excitement suddenly became a moment of warmth and connection. The fans' reaction appeared to show how meaningful the gesture was, while people around her watched the interaction with growing emotion. Jimin's simple act quickly drew attention from the audience, with many fans visibly touched by what they had witnessed. Rather than being about the value of the jacket, the moment was celebrated for the kindness behind it. For many ARMYs, seeing Jimin take the time to acknowledge one fan so personally made the enormous stadium feel surprisingly intimate. The emotional reaction spread through the crowd as fans cheered and applauded Jimin. Some appeared moved to tears, proud to see an artist use a huge stage not only to perform but also to create a personal memory for someone in the audience. The moment also highlighted the special relationship BTS has built with ARMY over the years. By the end of the moment, Jimin's jacket had become far more than a piece of clothing. It represented a memory that the fan could carry long after the concert ended. Although the gesture itself was simple, its emotional impact appeared to reach the entire stadium, leaving many ARMYs feeling proud, grateful, and deeply moved by Jimin's kindness. The stadium was exploding with cheers until one unexpected moment suddenly brought thousands of ARMYs to a quieter, more emotional pause. During BTS Day 2 concert, the energy was at its peak as fans sang along and lights filled the venue. But then, Jimin appeared to notice something happening among the audience, and his attention seemed to shift away from the spectacle on stage. Instead of immediately returning to the performance, Jimin appeared to look toward a female ARMY in the crowd, seemingly taking a moment to recognize her presence. The interaction gradually drew attention as fans nearby began watching what was happening. For a few seconds, the enormous stadium seemed to feel much smaller, with Jimin's focus appearing to center on one fan among thousands. Then, the moment became even more unexpected. Jimin appeared to move closer toward the audience and interact with the fan, creating an increasingly emotional scene. The fan's reaction seemed to catch the attention of people around her, while other ARMYs began cheering and recording the touching interaction on their phones. But the biggest surprise came moments later. Jimin appeared to remove the jacket he was wearing, and instead of keeping it for himself, he reportedly handed it to the fan. The gesture instantly transformed the atmosphere, as the surrounding crowd erupted in cheers while the fan appeared overwhelmed by the unexpected gift. What happened next was perhaps the most emotional part. The fans' reaction appeared to leave people nearby deeply moved, while thousands of ARMYs responded with loud applause and cheers for Jimin in a stadium filled with tens of thousands of people. The moment felt remarkably personal, turning a spectacular concert into a memory that one fan may never forget. Just moments earlier, the stadium had been filled with overwhelming energy. Loud music echoed through the venue, dazzling lights swept across the crowd, and thousands of ARMYs were singing and screaming along with BTS. Yet in the middle of all that excitement, Jimin appeared to notice something in the audience that suddenly captured his attention. Jimin appeared to pause for a moment, his expression softening as he looked toward the fan. His face seemed noticeably calmer compared with the intense energy of the performance, as though he was taking a few seconds to fully understand what was happening in front of him. That small change in expression immediately made the moment feel more personal. As Jimin continued looking toward the audience, the atmosphere around the interaction seemed to become quieter and more emotional. Fans nearby appeared to realize that something meaningful was unfolding, while the massive stadium momentarily felt less like a concert and more like a personal exchange between an artist and an ARMY. Then came the gesture that changed everything. Jimin appeared to remove his jacket and give it to the female fan, prompting an immediate reaction from the surrounding audience. For a brief moment, the emotional scene seemed to stand apart from the enormous production happening around it, and then, almost instantly, the stadium erupted again. Cheers and applause swept through the crowd as fans reacted to the gesture, while the woman appeared deeply moved by the unexpected moment. The contrast was striking, from deafening music and flashing lights, to a quiet emotional pause, and finally back to an explosive wave of cheers that made the entire stadium feel united. As the emotional interaction unfolded, attention appeared to spread beyond Jimin and the fan. Other BTS members seemed to notice what was happening, with some appearing to glance toward the audience and smile. Their reactions added another layer to the moment, making it feel less like an isolated interaction and more like a shared experience, unfolding in front of the entire group. For the fans standing around the woman, the moment appeared just as unexpected. People nearby seemed visibly touched as they watched Jimin interact with her, while some armies quickly raised their phones to capture what was happening. In a stadium filled with thousands of fans, many suddenly seemed focused on the same small section of the crowd. The atmosphere became increasingly emotional as the surrounding audience reacted to Jimin's gesture. Some fans appeared to cheer, while others seemed overwhelmed by the sweetness of the moment. The contrast between the massive concert production and the intimate interaction made the scene particularly memorable for those who witnessed it up close. Meanwhile, the reactions from the BTS members appeared to make the moment even more special. If visible in circulating footage, their smiles and attention toward the interaction seemed to suggest that they, too, were aware of how meaningful the exchange had become. For armies watching from a distance, those subtle reactions quickly became another detail to notice. By the time the moment ended, the emotion had seemingly spread throughout the nearby section and beyond. What began with Jimin noticing one fan had turned into a collective reaction involving the audience and seemingly the members on stage. The cameras may have captured Jimin's gesture, but the expressions of everyone around him appeared to tell another part of the story. At first, the jacket may have seemed like a simple part of Jimin's stage outfit, but after he appeared to give it to the female army, its meaning seemed to change completely. In that instant, the jacket became more than a piece of clothing. It became a tangible reminder of a brief connection between an artist and a fan in the middle of an enormous stadium. For the fan, receiving something directly associated with Jimin appeared to make the moment deeply personal. She was surrounded by thousands of other armies, yet for those few seconds, the attention seemed to center on her. The jacket could become a lasting keepsake, carrying with it the memory of a night when an ordinary concert experience suddenly turned into something extraordinary. But the emotional intensity did not stop there. As people around the fan appeared to realize what had happened, reactions began spreading through the crowd. Phones went up, cheers grew louder, and the atmosphere seemed to build toward something bigger. What started as a quiet interaction was gradually becoming one of the most talked about moments of the night. Then came the moment that made the entire stadium erupt. As Jimin's gesture became clear to the surrounding audience, loud cheers and applause appeared to sweep through the venue. The contrast was striking. An intimate moment that had begun with a simple look toward one fan suddenly became a celebration shared by thousands. And perhaps that is what made the jacket so meaningful. It was no longer simply something Jimin had been wearing on stage. It had become a symbol of a memory that could last far beyond the concert itself. In a stadium where thousands came hoping to feel close to BTS, one small gesture appeared to remind everyone that sometimes the most unforgettable moments are the ones that happen unexpectedly. According to circulating footage and fan descriptions, the emotional moment did not simply end when Jimin reportedly handed his jacket to the female army. Instead, what happened immediately afterward appeared to capture even more attention. The fans' reaction, the surrounding cheers, and Jimin's response created a sequence that many viewers have been watching closely. For several seconds, Jimin appeared to remain attentive to the fan, while the surrounding audience reacted with growing excitement. Fans nearby could be seen raising their phones, seemingly trying to preserve every second of the interaction. Although the exact details of the exchange have not been officially confirmed, the circulating footage has prompted many ARMYs to discuss the meaning behind the moment. The atmosphere then appeared to shift dramatically. What had started as a relatively quiet and personal interaction suddenly became a stadium-wide reaction, with cheers and applause seemingly growing louder. The contrast made the gesture feel even more powerful, as thousands of fans appeared to realize that they had just witnessed an unusually intimate concert moment. Yet the most intriguing detail may have been Jimin's reaction after the jacket was handed over. According to fans analyzing the circulating clips, his expression and movements immediately afterward became a subject of discussion, with some viewers repeatedly replaying the footage to catch the smallest details. These interpretations remain fan observations rather than confirmed facts. But what happened immediately after Jimin handed over the jacket was the part that left many ARMYs looking back at the footage again and again. Was it the fans' reaction, Jimin's expression, or something happening around them that made the moment so emotional? Until clearer footage or an official account provides more context, that small sequence may remain one of the most intriguing moments from BTS's Day 2 concert.